I've decided to start giving my garden tours every Sunday so that I can keep a record of how things change. So here's the first weekly garden tour. I hope you enjoy. I'm going to start off with the front yard, which has transformed quite a bit. Let's start with, this is some holy basil I'm going to plant in the garden. I'm trying to plant at least 3 or 4 varieties, but alright, so I dragged, remember that empty space in the backyard? Well, I moved the frame up to the front so that it could, a place where it gets more sun. It's cloudy today, but it gets a lot of sun out here. And in the corners, I have basil. I also, over there, I'll get closer later, but I have some purple basil over there. This is my barrage plant, and look how beautiful it is getting. It's a really, really pretty flowers. I haven't seen any pollinators on it yet today, but I did see some yesterday. And then these are my green zebra, Cherokee tomatoes, and I alternated, so that's green zebra, and then there's Cherokee in the corner, and then this is one I got. I have a stick around it to help keep the, I forgot the name of the bugs that cut it off at the bottom, but this is called Gardener's Delight, and it's a red cherry tomato that I got from somebody who was offering it up online, and I traded her that for some other kind of seed. I can't remember. I got quite a few plants that way. The front flower bed is doing really, really great. You can see my coxcomb. My king coral coxcomb is doing pretty good. They all survived the cold, and you saw that last time. Here's the bee balm I've planted since last time. And then these, not the marigolds, but the flowers that have these beautiful, beautiful, bright, orangey yellow flowers. These are calendula, and I believe you're supposed to harvest them right when they first start blooming, so these are probably not for harvesting. Like I believe that this one here is probably ready to harvest because the oils are stronger in it or something like that. But basically, the front flower bed is doing pretty good. I'm probably going to have quite a bit of oranges and reds. I tend to prefer those colors anyway. And then the globe amaranth is doing pretty good. Hopefully it will come along soon. Do better soon. So I moved quite a few of the plants that I've transplanted into containers to the front yard. For the things that I'm worried the bunnies will get into, I put them behind a fence, and I'm going to plant some more plants in the garden here. But otherwise, these are my cucumber, my Boston pickling cucumbers, and I've used this trellis-like structure to hopefully help them trellis up. And then these are my early fortune cucumbers. They're doing pretty good. This was the pot that I forgot to put holes in the bottom, but now I have holes in them. And then I have 2 beds with peppers, and you can see this mesh here. I put this down when some squirrel dug up my fish pepper, and I was like, you know what? I don't want him digging up my fish pepper. I need to trim the leaves there. But that's the jalapeno, and that's a shisho pepper I got from a friend, exchanged with her for some other peppers. My cabbage plant is doing really, really well. These leaves are really thick and just healthy in general. I do need to cover them with some mesh. Hopefully the squash bug hasn't gotten to them just yet. What's that? Or the cabbage moth, I mean, or whatever it is, cabbage butterfly. Here's more peppers, another set. I did 2 Jimmy Nardello here, and then there's a jalapeno, another fish pepper, and again, this mesh is just to keep the squirrel from digging up. And there's a little tiny mesh thing around this pepper, you can see. And then here are some more containers. This is an eggplant called Fairy Tale eggplant. The leaves are doing pretty good since I transplanted it last week. Here's my spaghetti squash, and this one clearly has vining capability. See here how it has started vining up this bamboo rod I put in. I also put in a stick because it was having trouble when I first put it in, and it has vined around the stick quite nicely as well to help give it some support. I just tied it to the stick with some twine. And then these are two kinds of squash. My yellow scallop, I'm pretty sure I've planted them too close together, but I'm just so greedy. I really want to have lots of squash, and I suspect that they're going to end up vining all over the yard, trailing all over the yard at some point. But for now, it's what we have. It's all a growing process and lesson learned. So now to the backyard. In case you may be wondering, you may have noticed that I have toilet paper rolls around the plants, and then this is actually not, I cut off the bottoms of these, so it's not a full cup, it's just the tops of them. I had heard that there are pests, which again, the name of which are eluding me, that will just cut off the plants at where the soil meets the root, the plant. And so I'm adding those to help protect them from being cut off in their prime, you could say. So now we're in the backyard. Here's some of the things that I need to move up to the front. I may move my delicata squash up. These are marigolds that I need to move to the front into the bed. They're getting pretty big. And then some more basil. I mentioned I wanted to plant several types. This is Thai basil. They finally got their leaves, their second set of leaves, so they're ready to be moved to the front. And they've been outside for a couple days. My mint, I'm probably just going to let it grow in there because I've got another container of mint. And then here's my potato plants, which are just going gangbusters. So the idea with potato plants is I just let them grow now until they flower and die back, and then that's when I harvest the potatoes in the bags. Fingers crossed, they look healthy. Hopefully that's a good sign. Zucchini, squash are doing well. I had one come to flower that I tried to pollinate with a male flower that we will see if it will grow. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it worked well. Another of my anti-squirrel digging device here with lemon balm. There's the mint. There's a tomato container I need to transplant into pots and give away to neighbors. One new addition to this pot, and I'm going to harvest the vitae mache stuff today, hopefully for lunch. But I transplanted the dill, and it seems to be doing really good, to be really healthy, which is awesome. These are some more plants that I need to transplant or give away. These are acorn squash. They're doing really well, but I definitely need to give them new homes, including in a container, and give away. And I plan on moving these two cabbage plants up to the front garden. I'm going to plant them in the actual ground, and we'll see how they do compared to the one in the container. And there's a Christmas lima bean. I have 4 more Christmas lima bean seeds, so I'm going to plant those in the front as well. I need to double check whether they are friendly. Cabbage and lima beans are friendly to plant next to each other, but if they are, that's what I'll do. Here is my beautiful chamomile, tiny, tiny flowers. I'm going to harvest them now that some of them are ready, but I'm going to continue harvesting them as the rest grow. And I'll just dry them and put them in a little container, and hopefully we'll get at least one glass of chamomile out of it. These are all seedlings I need to give away. I plan on posting to friends soon on what's available. Checking out the cool weather crops. They're still doing well. We knew the chamomile was going to seed, and that's on purpose. Not chamomile, sorry, arugula. But there is a bed of arugula here that I'm still harvesting that hasn't gone to seed yet, and they're great for sandwiches, so I'm enjoying that. Remember me showing you how I cut and come again for the lettuce? This is Simpson lettuce, and look how many rows I've cut of leaves, and it's still, this black seeded Simpson lettuce is still producing, which is just awesome. The red sales lettuce they're supposed to have these little red spots on them. They're doing good. They're coming up. Hopefully we'll get a crop out of them this season. We'll see. Kale, I did have some problem with the kale with cabbage worms. You can see the leaf damage over there. But I think I got all the cabbage worms, and just, you know, being vigilant helps, hopefully. This raspberry plant is getting pretty big, which is awesome because it's supposed to produce this fall. Here we have our strawberries that are growing pretty well. That's a barrage plant, my blueberry plants, another raspberry plant, and I'm going to show you. We have some strawberries that are turning pink now. They're going to be small this year, but I'm looking forward to eating some strawberries. I have to tell you, I snuck one last night. It was pretty delicious. Here is our peas. Look how amazing they're doing. They're doing so good. Lots of sugar snap peas on the vine that are getting ready. And then I did harvest a couple of the early fortune peas, which were not quite full, but they were sure tasty. Ernie and I loved them. I transplanted my bush beans last week, and they're just doing really well in the rain. Look, got some blooms going. And remember how I was complaining about the Swiss chard not getting big enough? Well, I think it just needed a little more sun and heat. And it's just doing great, so I'm going to harvest that today or tomorrow, and we're going to have some stir-fried Swiss chard. And then check it out, my nasturtiums are blooming. Aren't they gorgeous? They're edible, and I totally plan on eating those. The leaves also are good. They taste sort of like horseradish, like a spicy horseradish. Look at how tall my bachelor's buttons have gotten. These guys are huge. I put up a second fence behind to help support. These guys were leaning. You can kind of see they're leaning against it now because of the strong winds. But it's starting to look like one of them is getting ready to flower. I can't tell you how excited I am to see these bachelor buttons come up. It's going to be the first flowers that'll produce buds that I've grown from seed. It's going to be pretty awesome. So there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please like. Tell me what you think. Comments on how I've spaced things, if I've planted things too close together, or what I might do else to handle the crops. If you aren't already a subscriber, please subscribe, and otherwise, I'll see you next time.